Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And with the bracket for the Prime Classic confirmed for the remainder of this tournament, Paris Legion qualify in incredible fashion that we shall dive into. But Los Angeles Guerrillas, after their struggles this weekend, will Gunless be imminently returning to their starting lineup. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'll greatly appreciate it. All that good stuff. Thank you very much indeed for doing that one. Plenty to discuss today because yeah, Toronto Ultra Academy. We'll talk about them in a few seconds time because I guess the words I said last night might not have echoed exactly what happened in reality. First of all, we've got to say this one though, the subliners, they took down the London Royal Ravens. Honestly, really impressive from New York, right? Kismet comes in, despite statistically not having the craziest performance. Like his comms, his pressure that he put on the map, really seemingly has helped the other guys shine on the team. And they go 3-0 in their pool, so very impressive work. Of course, London, pretty tough time for them. Harry comes in, the roles and everything, it wasn't really working out too well. Harry, good player, I think. But yeah, not really sure this team has it. Of course, they still have some time in the back burner here. Like, obviously still a very disappointing result for London on the whole, but like they still have some time to figure out what they want to do. But if Gizmo isn't coming back, not sure what they're going to do with their roster. Many questions there, but undefeated in Group A for subliners sets them up rather nicely for the rest of the weekend. We'll look at the bracket here as well. But again, certainly good to see they've improved. Los Angeles Thieves, they also just about make it out of the group as well. Octane says, great day for the boys, building some momentum going into the brackets. Unsure who we play in the brackets as Envoy. We'll look at that here in a few minutes time, but proud of the squad regardless. They took down London in a pretty good series, and then they beat Team War very comfortably actually, but like, you know, Team War obviously have the amateur team anyway in the bracket, and you'd expect them to beat them. So still, Kenny like individually didn't have the greatest numbers, seemed to be doing a little bit more today, and in fairness, the other guys really did turn up, right? Octane, Envoy, Drazah, they all played very well. So sets Los Angeles Thieves up rather nicely for the brackets here. They do make it out of that group alongside the New York Subliners, kind of the second seed for the group, as they of course got 3 by them on day one, but you know, certainly they're showing some signs of progress. Other teams you can, well, certainly not say the same thing for, as we shall see here in a second. We've got to discuss this then for Paris, because yesterday I'm pretty sure I said, or like after seeing Ultra Academy North America reverse sweep 2 pro teams, LAG and the Boston Breach, especially because I thought those 2 teams were like, you know, the number 1, number 2 seed potentially in that group, where they should have been number 1, number 2 best teams in the group, at least in theory. I was like, okay, probably they've got the job done now, right? However, I kind of you know, discounted the possibility of the craziness of some of these tiebreakers that you can get in these 4-way groups. So Paris Legion came in here against the Ultra Academy, needing to 3-1 them or better in order to qualify. The tiebreakers worked in the way that actually Paris did a really good job against LAG. Therefore, if they won this series 3-1 or better, they would have qualified all the way through to the bracket play. And that's exactly what happened. This final map was absolutely absurd. You can see that when they get in the hill, it's kind of like, Clayster goes on to explain this here in a second, but like they get in and they have like, well, 3 seconds to get or 4 seconds to get, and it looks like there's only a couple of seconds left on the hill. You can actually see right here at the top of the screen, I guess I'll put it on the big screen, but yeah, I'll try and do this a little bit slow motion. We've got a 2.46 needed. Now, if you see at this point, actually, if you guys can just about make this out of the top, 0.04 left, and they have 2.46, immediately it becomes 3, and then they somehow still get all the time. So like, it's rather interesting how this kind of works. This is the same thing in World War II. Some games give you the tick for the final seconds, some do not. You've also got to consider that there are like milliseconds at play here, right? Like Paris have 246.9 or something at this point, and there's like 3.5 on the clock, let's just say, for example. So despite the fact that 246 plus 3 is equal to, you know, 249, right? Like in terms of milliseconds and stuff, they probably did get enough. So some games give the tick, some games don't give the tick. Effectively how it works. Like, you know, Chino sees this and thinks, okay, what's going on here? But actually, if you look at this, the screenshot we just looked at, there actually is some reality behind it. So really tough spot for, well, Ultra Academy North America, of course. They got screwed over massively, I think, by this tiebreaker. But we'll see how it worked out actually for the group standings here in a second, because it's really tough for them. They could have made it through. I thought they did. I'm pretty sure I said yesterday that they'd probably done enough to make it through. Wasn't the case though. Paris Legion though, fair play to them. They clutched up when they needed to. Massive 3-1 victory. They'll be in the bracket. Now, as kind of Clayster's explaining it here, that you know, there is obviously tense involved, so it's done like you can either gain 0.1 or up to 1.0 seconds. Therefore, it registered as enough points for them to win the game. So kind of explaining exactly why that was the case. This also from Crowder Writer, as well as classic kind of, well, mentions apparently, because in the first series Paris played against Boston, they probably should have gone up 2-1 in that series and actually won that control, but they got kind of screwed over by the replay, I think, as Temp lagged out, because Classic apparently was the one who logged into his account. And now Paris qualified, he's happy to reveal it was him who did that. So, you know, I guess no bad blood between the guys at the moment. This, of course, also from Octane, 2 reverse sweeps out of Toronto Academy just to lose the 3-way tiebreaker. Unbelievable dagger. Like, honestly, these 3-way tiebreakers are really tough. That's why I don't like this group format in general. That's why GSL, I think, is better, because GSL is basically win 2 before you lose 2, effectively like a mini bracket within the group. It does have its disadvantages, but at the same time, it's not, you don't get these crazy tiebreakers like this, where you lose 1 series and you're still out of the tournament, which I always think is, well, definitely leaves room for improvement. This I thought was actually quite interesting from Clay Nelson, pointed out to me, honestly, man, I'm just tired of participating in the circus. I have the fire to compete and be the best. I just don't have the energy to deal with the peanuts gallery anymore. Tired of having to expand energy to control the narrative. Screw them, I'm nasty and I always will be. So So Clayster definitely a few words to say actually, because well, his team, Clayster, Fellow, Ghosty, and Johnny, they're looking for an organisation to represent them at Toronto, because of course they're doing their own kind of, I guess, the start of June, they're doing well, a challenges event alongside the pro event. It's pretty cool stuff. Clayster doesn't think it, I guess he's going to be back in the team, because obviously New York looks pretty good so far this weekend, right? So I doubt they're going to bring Clay in for Crim 6 anytime soon, even though he thought that if they kind of fell short, that might be what they do. Clay also goes on to say, if you think that's how it works, I feel bad for you. No one wants to pay money to buy me out when they can just get me for free in 4 months. New York doesn't want to let me go without getting something in return bigger than, you know, playing the kind of ambitions here. So interesting stuff really, because okay, Clayster was kind of saying maybe a team will get him on loan for a few months. In fairness, a team like Seattle maybe could do with a guy like Clayster's services. Who knows what they will think about doing, because they could potentially get him on loan, take over his salary, but not pay a buyout. But like they're kind of thinking, okay, well, Clayster's going to be a free agent when his contract comes to an end in a few months' time. Therefore, like we can get Clay for free potentially. So probably making it less likely Clay's going to get on a team for the rest of the year. He's going to do his best in the challenger side though. And also I believe today is well, Clayster's birthday, 30th birthday, crazy stuff. I know I said coming into the season I was kind of hoping he'd still be on the starting team by the time the team, well, his 30th birthday came around. But yeah, if he does get back onto a starting team, I guess it'll be the first ever pro, at least in Call of Duty, who is competing at an age of 13 above. So really cool stuff, paving the way for generations to come. And I'm sure the guys like Scump are looking at people like Clay and thinking, well, hang on a second, I'm a relatively young, I'm like 26, 27, right? I've still got plenty of years if Clay can still compete like this. Hopefully it's good for the scene in general. Let's look then at how these groups ended up working out. So Group A and Group B, they kind of go as, you know, as you kind of hope the groups will go, you could argue, with a 3-0, 2-1, 1-2, 0-3. So pretty clear cut who should qualify, who should not qualify. Like, so it's, well, FaZe Ultra, Mutineers, Texas, as most people generally predicted. Then Group C, it looks like this. So New York and the Los Angeles Thieves get out of their group, and then Group D is where things get crazy. So there was another traditional group right here, but this is where Group D goes mental, right, with the kind of tiebreakers, and it's really frustrating for Ultra Academy North America. The fact that by losing that map, they went 7-7 in map counts, Paris Region 7-6 in map counts, therefore they qualify out, right, and Boston and Paris qualify out despite only going 2-1, and then, well, Toronto Academy North America, despite only losing one series, they fall out of the tournament. Of course, the elephant in the room here in a way is the other team sitting in Group D, the reigning champions from Major 2, the Los Angeles Guerrillas, 4-9 map count, 0-3 series records. They bomb out of the tournament, losing to all these teams. I mean, losing to Paris and the Canada team is practically unacceptable, regardless of what you did just a few weeks ago. Of course, we've had a fair bit of break since then. So many have been saying, what are they going to do with this team? There was some talk about it actually. Sasha says this: bad practice leads to bad results. Good luck to everyone else this weekend, saying their practice coming into this event has been pretty atrocious. That's why they lost. Of course, well, some players like to say their practice has been good. No one really likes to talk about bad practice coming into an event, but if you lose, you can then say, okay, it was just bad practice. That's like, you know, why we didn't perform. But of course, yeah, obviously, like, shocking, really, the fact that they do so well in Major 2. They win the entire thing, that crazy run. Now they bomb out of this tournament the way they did. It seems like, okay, that loss is 100% on me. I'll come back better for Stage 3. But will they be going back with the same team? Right? That's, of course, a big question mark. Because Gunless, after his surgery, I think he's getting back to full health very quickly indeed. And of course, Gunless, when this team was in, they were on the uphill trajectory. Spart comes in, they look pretty good. Of course, well, they win the entire thing, right? But that was when the Havok was in the meta. Now the Havok's no longer in the meta. Could Gunless come back into the team? aBeZy even believes it's not so clear cut, but he actually comes back in for Spart. He could go in for Slash, right? That's the only other reasonable opportunity. So after bombing out in the way they have, is it time that they make a change once again and bring Gunless back into the starting team?
Pat, can you actually see Gunless coming back in? Can you see that happen? They just won a championship with Spart.
Yeah, possibly. And I don't even know if it would be for Spart. I mean, I think Spart proved himself, but still, I mean, I think, you know, if Big P is healthy and available to play, I think it would be a disservice to him to not have him on the roster, regardless of who it's for. I'm not saying it needs to be the 1-for-1 for Spart back, whatever. But just in general, I think having Big P on this team is something that LAG should have on this team. Like,
or Big P goes somewhere else. Or he goes
Paul's
somewhere
hilarious,
else.
dude. Paul said we got smoked and screams.
because we know how the league works. Like, it's just gonna be a tough thing to get Big P off of that LAG roster.
Yeah. No, it is going to be tough, and I'm really curious moving forward. I was actually just talking to Big P during the watch party before we hopped into the show, and he's been feeling better, man. He got the surgery done. He's just kind of resting up now, and he's looking to get back into it and play with anybody, man. I think Big P just wants to play. And you got to think with some of the ways some of these top teams have been struggling, or some teams in the middle of the pack, lower of the pack, or whatever. They're definitely looking at Big P and some of these other challenger players. There's no way they're not.
Hicks, that's a freebie.
Looking for Slasher. Look at Scrappy. Look at Scrappy. Look at Scrappy right now. He's on the flank. He's behind two of them. What can he turn this into? He's gonna find one. Can he hunt?
No way.
He does.
He gets both.
A regain.
Now a 3-on-2 for Ultra Academy. 28 seconds to go. They've got that bomb planted. It's just Huke.
There's no way.
looking for any type of opening. Vickle able to take it. All going to be onto Asim, able to find the kill. And there's the upset. Ultra Academy. NA come through with the victory. They win it.
No, not like that.
With the play.
No.
I thought reacted in time, but the gunny. The fight goes to Scrappy.
Oh.
Cammy, he reacts in time. It's Slasher. It's
Imagine if Austin played tower or like elbow, like he checked elbow or like,
I don't think he has the info that Scrappy
like
already threw
that
time.
is,
Only saw towards
that is so unlucky.
already threw
I might have even shared that clip though actually of Gunless responding to kind of, or reacting, let's just say, to the loss that they had, and being like, I mean, the acting was pretty good, like Oscar worthy, no doubt, like, oh no, these guys lost, that's such a shame, they're going to have to bring me back. So we'll see how it goes for them, but of course, like, yeah, a result like this, we heard coming into the weekends that some people certainly believed this was a pretty crucial weekend for some of these teams. I was considering the likes of Thieves, New York Subliners, Toronto Ultra, like at Minnesota Rokkr, these guys, Minnesota's still in that category of teams, if they don't perform, they're going to have to do something. Los Angeles Guerrillas all of a sudden might well be in that category as well. It's very interesting stuff. What do you guys think about this? Because Gunners could also go elsewhere, right? Of course, Seattle, haven't really touched on them today, but they also had a shocker in their group as well. I guess if we can look at it right here, of course, losing to StrikeX, completely unacceptable. 2-in-9 map count, you know, the worst of the entire tournament, tied with Ultra Academy Europe, who of course had to make a last-minute roster change, and Team War over here. Now let's dive into what this bracket is going to look like for the Championship Sunday then. So the OpTic guys were having a good time yesterday. They got their victory against the Minnesota Rokkr. Certainly a much-needed one if they wanted to get through to the bracket, but things do not get any easier for them by any means. Like, well, as Shotzi says, play the winner of FaZe and Ultra, who is of course going to determine the #1 seed from Group A. You could well argue actually that kind of the bracket here is not done the perfect way, because I think we've seen this in previous tournaments as well, that like you'll kind of get the top 2 seeds seeded into Group A, Group B, for example, and then if let's say there's an upset in one of those groups, you'll all of a sudden round 1 get #1 versus #2. This tourney is a slightly different story because OpTic aren't really at their full strength roster. We've seen this at many World Championships in the past, where kind of the best 2 teams will match up in the first round because someone got upset in their group, which arguably shouldn't be the case, and they should be seeded in such a way that Group A plays Group C, Group B plays Group D to prevent an instance like this. But, you know, regardless of the situation, it creates a rather interesting bracket. So FaZe OpTic, they play, I'm pretty sure the first game is Subliners versus Paris Legion. New York should be favorites here, really without question, but Paris have looked really good this weekend. So, and Gravity's been playing better. It's going to be interesting. If New York Subliners can get top 4 and even beyond, that's really going to prove something this weekend. That Kismet change took them in the right direction. Mutineers play Ultra, second game of the day. That's actually a really tough one to call. Don't know how to call that one, to be honest. Ultra seem better, but I might just take the Mutineers to eke out this series a 3-1 or a 3-2. Then FaZe and OpTic play the third game of the day. That, of course, is really tough to look past FaZe here. Like, OpTic always have a chance. It's OpTic. They've got so much talent on their team. But, like, FaZe have been looking really indomitable the last few days, there's no doubt. They really do seem to be hitting form. And with OpTic having a substitute, it's just really tough to look past a FaZe 3-1 or even 3-0 or something. We'll have to see how it goes. Then Breach versus Thieves, the last game of the day. A really entertaining one to me. I might end up making the recap video before this series and just recapping it tomorrow morning because it's going to be rather late. But a good test for both of these squads. Can Boston still take down teams they should theoretically be beating? Or if Thieves can actually get through, that proves they may have well taken this team in the right direction. But very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit on the like button. Told you YouTube gods, it's a good video. I'd just like you to see it as well. And I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you as always. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.